Hi, I'm glad you could make it here. Today, we're going to talk about the 20 attributes of creating the perfect job and what makes the perfect job so you can live your perfect life. If you're anything like me, you've been involved in several jobs and have seen several successes and maybe even some failures. And during that time, you've had in the back of your mind that you could always do better. Now, don't get me wrong, you may have even had a job that was paying you a great salary, and it may have been rewarding work. And hopefully you had good coworkers and a boss that wasn't a jerk. But there's always something missing. That's the way I felt too. So I set out to find what it was that was missing. And over the years, I've identified 20 attributes that would create the perfect job in order to live the perfect life. And I'm going to give you this gift that literally took me years to discover. Let's jump right in with attribute number 1. The first attribute of having the perfect job is to work so that you can have time to enjoy your passions. Right now, do you have time to do the things that are important to you? You know, we get so caught up in our routine day, we sometimes lose sight of what's it like to live our life on purpose, to live our perfect life. Do you remember when you were a kid and you could dance like nobody was watching? Well, sometimes we're so involved with work and responsibilities and family life that we don't get time for ourselves. We don't take the time to just do the things that are fun. My question to you is, what's fun for you? What are your passions? Whether it's going out to a great restaurant in the evening or taking several weeks or even a month to travel the world, to see museums, to listen to great music, or even to enjoy the sports team that you root for. Right now is the time for you to go for it. Another question that you have to ask yourself is, can you leave work at work? Or is it constantly on your mind? Isn't it more important to provide for yourself rather for the company that you work for? And what about those that you love? How much time do you really spend with them? Not just time, but meaningful quality time. And what about you? You have to give yourself credit. You know what you want. There's no time like the present. After all, we're not getting any younger. The second attribute for the perfect job allows for a balanced lifestyle. And one thing when we look at job satisfaction to have the perfect job, it would definitely include the following: spending time with family and our loved ones. Passing like ships in the night is how some families and relationships feel, but having the perfect job, it doesn't have to be like that. And what about your physical health? We definitely feel better when we're healthy. Are you truly at your best? Or do you need more time to work out properly and take the best care of yourself? Your emotional health is important. Have you ever felt burned out at your job or at your wit's end? It's probably time for a refresher to learn to live free of stress and worry. And everybody wants to be free to do what they want. Freedom is an important attribute for the perfect job. No one deserves to feel like they're constrained by their job. And finally, community involvement. You need to be able to take time to engage with your community. Spend time at your kids' school functions. Do some volunteering. Everyone should have the time to contribute. Attribute number 3 for the perfect job allows a flexible schedule to work when you want to work. You know, some people are night owls. Everyone has different sleep habits, and working your best at midnight doesn't mesh with a 9 to 5 job. There are many nights where I wish I could have stayed late and done work because of my productivity, but sometimes you're just not allowed to do that. Another attribute for flexibility in your work schedule is to be able to travel. There's always events. You want to take vacations. There's kids' sports tournaments. You might even have a sick parent. Those are all reasons to be able to travel at a moment's notice, and you can do that with the perfect job. What about time off? Sometimes you just don't want to work. Wouldn't it be nice to knock off for a day or 2 weeks whenever you want? Attribute number 4 for the perfect job. You can conduct your business from anywhere in the world. Did you know that the internet's available to over 90% of the world's population? That's really quite powerful. And what that means to you is that you don't have to go to too many meetings, because I'm sure you've been required to go to a meeting where the speaker drones on and on and on. So the question becomes, are you mobile? Well, the nice thing about the perfect job is that you can virtually work anywhere in the world. It opens up so many possibilities. It gives you perfect flexibility to take your perfect job anywhere, even if it's on a laptop, a tablet, and yes, you can even do it on your phone. The 5th attribute of the perfect job should have low capital requirements. So the question is, who controls your salary? Well, the perfect job allows you to control your own salary. So let's take an example. Is a franchise for a perfect job an option? Well, the number one franchise, McDonald's, costs somewhere between $933,000 to $2.3 million. That's a lot of money. Of course, any job has a cost. If you factor in college, training, or even the school of hard knocks, there is a cost for any job. But the perfect job is very reasonable. You can create your own perfect job for a minimal amount of investments. The next attribute, number 6, is to make sure that the perfect job is tax favored. Think about this. What would you make if you didn't have to pay taxes? All those years of withholdings? What would that amount to if you got all your withholding and taxes back? Well, did you realize that there are actually U.S. jurisdictions where you don't have to pay local or federal income tax? And it's all completely legal. And of course, if you want to go international, you certainly can do that too, because the perfect job will allow you to invest in overseas accounts if you so desire. The nice thing is, if you're going to live in the United States, states like Florida, Nevada, Texas have no state income tax. So these may be an option for reducing state taxes. And there's other options available for the perfect job too. They can offer tax-favored income so you can control your taxes. This is beyond the scope that we have today, but you certainly can learn more. And I have to throw in a disclaimer here because you need to see competent legal and accounting counsel prior to making any decisions, because we don't offer that kind of advice. Attribute number 7 for the perfect job is to have no or few employees. Have you ever felt like a babysitter? Well, there are as many reasons why working with employees can be frustrating, well, frankly, as there are a number of employees. It may be a better and higher use of your time to work by yourself or just with 1 or 2 family members. Of course, family members can be a bit of a challenge sometimes, so it may make sense to be the be-all, end-all, all by yourself. Because with employees, you have liability. And with no employees, you have less liability. Because if you've ever had an employee or coworker go sideways on you, you know it can be annoying at best, and it can be devastating at worst. The U.S. is one of the most litigious societies in the world, and it's reported that a lawsuit is filed about every 2 seconds. Regardless if you're totally in the right, you'll have to spend thousands defending yourself. And oh, the regulations. Speaking of attorneys, you almost have to be one in order to keep up with the huge volume of rules and laws that apply to our employees. So that's why we don't want them. And as an employee, somewhere down the line, you probably agreed to follow the company procedures, most of which you've forgotten. Working for yourself gives you the power to have the ultimate flexibility as the only employee. That's the perfect job. So who loves reviews and raises? Well, of course, when you have a good review and you get a raise, life is good. But when you have a subpar review, perhaps precipitated by a coworker on your team, you may suffer. Slow promotions, a highly political culture, or just a personality clash can be disastrous to your career. The number 8 attribute for the perfect job is to have good cash flow. Because cash flow is king. Controlling your own cash flow is a great thing, if you can do it. Of course, most employees can't just waltz into their boss and say, hey, I need an extra $5,000 because little Johnny wants to go to hockey camp in Sweden this summer. But if you have the perfect job, you can control your cash flow however you want. The ninth attribute for the perfect job is to have high margins and a high return on investment. Let's take a look at the number one franchise, McDonald's. Would you put up $1 million to buy a McDonald's job? That's what mymoneyblog.com says. If you do put up that million, you just bought yourself a $150,000 a year job. But what about other businesses and jobs? Well, no matter what, most all businesses and jobs have several of the attributes that you want to avoid like the plague. Let's take a look at that McDonald's job. Now, don't get me wrong, $150,000 a year is a nice living. But wouldn't you rather have the other attributes that we've talked about rather than work 6 days a week running a fast food restaurant? Well, yeah, you might be able to expand eventually and get there. But in the end, if you don't have the money for expansion, it really is a moot point. So, what about the perfect job? Can you find the perfect job that will pay you $150,000 a year without all those hassles? Well, it depends. If you're coachable, the answer is yes. And I get the question quite often, is this really true? Well, the perfect job isn't new. And as a matter of fact, some of the wealthiest people in the world have made their fortunes with the perfect job. Number 10 on the attributes list for the perfect job is to make sure that your money is quickly liquid. You know, many times needs arise. Every day they arise for one thing or another. And if all your equity is tied up in a business or in real estate, what do? It's an obvious issue. If you need cash from an illiquid position, you'll probably borrow, which entails time, interest, and fees. It's really not a great attribute. But our strategy, the perfect job, is almost instantly liquid. In a matter of hours, you can usually have 100% of your funds available. Now that's powerful. So the key to success is contrary to popular belief. Success is being liquid when emergencies arise. Number 11 attribute. This is probably one of the most important attributes that you can have when looking for the perfect job, which is unlimited profit potential. Now, what would it take for your current job to get to the next level? Is there a ceiling? Well, absolutely. So what can you do? Well, you can go back to school. And even if you went back for more school and got your PhD, that takes time, money, and effort. Don't you have better things to do? The nice thing about the perfect job is there's no ceiling. You don't have to answer to a boss, a board of directors, or anyone else. And interestingly enough, economic changes can help your success. Attribute number 12. There must be a broad market for the perfect job with repeatability. Now this might sound a little confusing, but we want to make sure that the perfect job has the ability to repeat ongoing success without any economic or job security issues. What about being outsourced? Well, a lot of global economics cause outsourcing, and unfortunately you have no control over that. What about being downsized? Economics can maim or destroy a company. Think about the companies that are obsolete today because of the internet. You ever been fired? There's always someone younger, smarter, and more ambitious to take your place, and sometimes even at a lot less salary. It's a very competitive world out there. Well, the nice thing about the perfect job that it completely eliminates these issues, and you can repeat your successes over and over so you can live the perfect life. Number 13, the perfect job makes sure that you're not trading dollars for your hours, and that you have good leverage of your capital and time. Most of us worked on a salary, but even if you're paid a regular salary, you're still trading your hours for dollars. There's no leverage of your money or time. Why not trade in your old job and have the perfect job to give you maximum leverage? There's no reason you can't make exponentially greater money than you do versus your old job model. The perfect job is infinitely scalable. Attribute number 14 for the perfect job requires no formal schooling. If you think about formal education at colleges and universities, it requires working on their schedule and is generally inflexible and requires constant diligence. And if you don't do well, for whatever reason, it's reflected in your GPA. It's really not tailored for you. But the perfect job has total flexibility. Working at your own pace in a modular format, when and where you want, allows you to study what area you want or need knowledge in. By only focusing on the matters at hand rather than irrelevant topics, you stay more focused on the goal. Number 15. The perfect job needs to be technologically sound and not soon obsolete. The perfect job uses the largest market in the world. It deals in the largest and most liquid businesses and countries in the world, and as such, will never be subject to obsolescence. Number 16. The perfect job should not be a highly complex business. Well, the nice thing about the perfect job is that there are only 3 variables, and you decide which variables give you the most potential for the greatest earnings. So it is relatively a simple business. Number 17, the perfect job should not be affected by large competitors. And ultimately, you want it to be recession and competition proof. The perfect job will pay you in the best of times and the worst of times if you know the secrets of the experts. There is competition, and if you know what to look for, it can make you a lot of money. Number 18, the perfect job needs the ability to pass on to your spouse or children. With the perfect job, you can pass on your job to your spouse, your kids, or really anyone you want. You certainly can't do that when you work for corporate America. The perfect job gives you the option to create a multi-generational legacy that can provide for your family for years to come. Number 19, we don't want to encumber ourselves with brick and mortar. In order to be flexible and be able to travel and do the things we want, we can't have to report to a singular location every day we want to work. Is this you? You have to drive to work? You love traffic? Absolutely not. Do you have to fight for space and wonder where the dents and dings come from when you park? No, you don't want to do that. What about a noisy environment? Sometimes you can't even hear yourself think. We don't want that. The perfect job gives you the ability so you don't have to commute and you can work wherever you want. Yeah, we definitely want that. And finally, the perfect job gives you the ability to find peace and tranquility anytime. And finally, attribute number 20. The perfect job should not have a lot of physical work that can cause damage over a long period of time. Well, it's said hard work never killed anyone, but it sure ruined a lot of knees, shoulders, and other joints. But on the other hand, sitting on your butt is also really bad for you. Can you go to the gym anytime you want? Not necessarily if you have a normal job. And let's face it, we aren't kids anymore. So what do you need to do in order to keep your health? Well, the perfect job allows you to do what you need to do without undue stress on your body and stay healthy. Thanks for learning about the 20 attributes to the perfect job. By now you should be ready to run with this information, so make sure you look in your email for the next step. The perfect job and the perfect life is within your reach.
The perfect job is trading. A lot of people don't know what trading is, but trading is just trading securities such as stocks, ETFs, or exchange-traded funds, futures, currencies, and options. It's no different than anything you see on Wall Street every single day on the news. The nice thing about trading is it takes you to your perfect life, the way you envision it and the way you want it. And if you got through the video about the 20 attributes you just saw, about the perfect job and the perfect life, trading fits it perfectly. Another great thing is that anyone can trade. Even if you're not 18. Parents have taught their children how to trade. It's never too late. So why not learn from the best? Plan your future right now. before it gets too late. I just want you to picture yourself on a beach or somewhere that you really would rather be right now. Do it. Close your eyes. Think about your favorite place in the world, doing your favorite thing in the world. That's exactly what trading can give to you. It can give you the perfect life that you envision in the back of your mind, and it can make it a reality for you. It's never better time to learn than right now. Now, our 3 days of invaluable learning starts twice a month. Classes run twice a month. It's a 3-day class. And you can see here, day 1, day 2, day 3, these are some of the basic things that we go over. But it's much more than that. It gives you in-depth insight into exactly what the basics of the market are, how markets work, what techniques work, how to manage your risk. And that's a very important one, because what a lot of people believe is that the markets are risky. Well, they are if you trade typically like the average person. So it gives you the risk factors and how to manage those risks. We talk about entries. Day 3, we go through exits and how to deal with your profits. And finally, we give you the patented system that is unique in the industry. The hours are 9 to 5 for 3 days. It's a perfect learning environment. It's in Bloomington, Minnesota, in a very, very nice office building, in a very good learning environment where it's very quiet, and you'll get personal attention from the instructors. You will learn from these masters, and you'll learn to trade currencies, futures, stocks, options, and on many different exchanges. Now, the fun part of it is that you can actually go live and see the markets move. And you can see traders making money live and in person while you're there. And if you feel so inclined, you can do the same thing too. So my suggestion is to attend a 3-day class, because it's time for you to get to your perfect life. Learn to time the market, and that's what will get you your perfect life. Now, the market timing class, the 3-day class, will give you a patented trading methodology. It isn't complicated or confusing. Anyone can do it. It teaches you how to be objective about the markets. It shows you how the mainstream mentality usually fails. So if you haven't been successful and you've tried trading, this is completely different. And it tells you why perhaps you have failed, if that's the case. And I'll show you how to be very successful, because it does teach you the methods on how to succeed. And it ultimately will bring satisfaction to your life. What do you need to do this? Well, if you have a little self-discipline, that's one thing you need. You have to have some stick-to-itiveness. If you have a little bit of money, you need a little bit to start trading, not a whole lot. But most of all, you need a drive to succeed and the burning desire to live your perfect life. No one is going to live it for you. No one's going to hold your hand and go through it. This is as close as you're going to get. Now, unless you have a large inheritance coming your way, and even if you do, you need to learn how to manage it. But if you don't, you need to learn how to make it. And you can learn to draw on a pool of instructors that has over 2,000 years of trading experience. There's absolutely no reason not to go for it. There's a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. So you can see there's really no risk to you. You need to get started right away today.